Folks, with the second round concluding and the third round beginning, it is time for our series previews for the conference finals. I kind of can't believe we're already here. It feels like this has gone very, very fast, to be honest with you guys. But here we are, and yeah, Panthers versus Hurricanes is the first series we are going to be talking about. This is going to be fun. There's a lot of ways you can look at this series. You can look at it from the side of the Panthers, who are a rough and tough team. They can hit you, they can run you down, tear you apart. They can roll all four lines and not be afraid. And then you look at Carolina, who can shoot from basically anywhere. They can pressure the hell out of you, and that's how they win their hockey games. This is going to be a very fun series, and it won't be like 2 years ago where it was a sweep. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot closer. However, maybe I do still have the same outcome. So these two teams have faced off only one time in the playoffs, and that was 2 years ago, where Florida won that series in a 4-0 sweep. Now, it was a close sweep. It was probably one of the closer sweeps I've ever seen, where 3 of the 4 games went to overtime. All 4 of them were decided by 1 goal, essentially. Again, last year or 2 years ago was the year where we had that like 4 overtime game, nearly 5 overtime game. That was the game where obviously Matthew Tkachuk won, and he, obviously ran off the ice. That was pretty funny, but yeah, that's what that series is remembered as. And the Panthers, who won that series, went on to the Stanley Cup Finals. They lost to Vegas. The following year, they go on, they win the Stanley Cup, and they're looking to get back there again this year with a 47-31-4 record for 98 points. They were the 3rd seed in the Atlantic Division. They had a .598 power play points percentage, not power play percentage. We'll get there. And then they scored 252 goals and allowed 223. So Florida have just been pretty good all season. Again, it's been a little bit more of a slower year for them in terms of regular season success. They were kind of on vacation heading into the playoffs, and then everybody just jumped in, and Florida went on a run, and absolutely insane. So yeah, the Panthers have been unreal. In the regular season, we're going to compare their regular season numbers to their playoff numbers. It's what we usually do. So in the regular season, they scored an average of 3 goals for per game. In the playoffs, 3.75. Now, keep in mind that is in lesser games. There's a couple of just 6-goal eggs in there that Toronto laid on them, but Florida's scoring is definitely increased here throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. And one thing that is very noticeable when you look at this whole team, they have guys who can score up and down the lineup. Like, I swear, they have like 9 players on their roster that can score and have the same amount of points. It's actually insane how deep this team really is in terms of scoring. Goals against, 2.72 in the regular season, and then a 2.42 in the playoffs. Definitely something that is very polarizing there with Florida. Again, you're going to hear me with Bobrovsky later on. He's not the sexiest of goalies in terms of his overall stats, but when he locks in, and he is a very good goaltender. Their power play percentage was 23.5 in the regular season. It actually drops to 20.5 in the playoffs. Now, keep in mind that is on lesser power plays. I think that definitely the PK power play narrative definitely changes a little bit, and obviously you see a lot of teams, they tend to be a little bit worse in the playoffs. That's not uncommon. And then on the PK, they were 80.7% in the regular season. This year in the playoffs, 89.5%. So they've been phenomenal here in these playoffs, just killing off basically all of Toronto's penalties, essentially. And they've been great there when they do take penalties, honestly. Now, they defeated Tampa Bay in round 1, 4-1 in 5 games. It wasn't very close. And then they obviously just beat Toronto in 7 games last night. So again, that narrative is still there with Toronto. That's a whole other conversation for another time. But as for Florida, they are back to the conference finals for the 3rd straight year, taking on the Hurricanes, who they're familiar with, again, as I said. Now, after that sweep, Carolina would go on to make some changes in the offseason. They would come in next year. They make a trade for Jake Gensel. That doesn't work out. They lose in the second round to the Rangers, who ironically enough played Florida in the following conference finals. Carolina goes into that offseason. They recuperate a little bit. They make some moves. They come into this year in January. They trade for Mikko Rantanen. They obviously acquire him, Doesn't work out. They trade him away for Logan Stankoven and a bunch of future assets. And here they are now in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they look pretty damn good. 47, 30, and 5 in the regular season for 99 points. So they were right there with Florida in terms of points. They were the second Metropolitan seed. They had a .604 power or points percentage, and then they scored 266 goals and allowed 233. So they were, again, by all accounts, pretty phenomenal. They weren't like Washington level phenomenal during this regular season, but obviously they beat them when it matters in the playoffs. And overall, all of their numbers have dramatically increased in these playoffs, and they've just been unstoppable. In the regular season, they scored an average of 3.24 goals for per game. In the playoffs, 3.4. So they have been phenomenal here. All of their numbers have increased, and again, I do get it. It's because you're obviously playing like, the Devils, who weren't that great, and the Capitals, who looked slow in that series. But even like then, like all of the numbers have gone up. Their goals against, 2.81 in the regular season. In the playoffs, 1.8. Frederik Andersen has been phenomenal. He's allowed, honestly, like less than 2 goals the majority of this playoffs. He's been insane on this run, and I think he's going to play a big part in, if Carolina can win this series, he's going to need to really step up to the plate and play the way he has. They had an 18.7 power play percentage in the regular season. In the playoffs, 28.1. So their numbers as well there too have gone up in terms of their power play, nearly 10%. In the regular season for their penalty kill, it was 83.6. In the playoffs, 93.3. So just above all, like their PK, I think they've only allowed like maybe 1 or 2 power play goals, and both of them came to Washington. They have been nothing short of phenomenal there in terms of those numbers, and they've just been very exciting to watch throughout this entire playoffs. They defeated the Devils in 5 games, 4-1, and then they defeated the Capitals in 5 games, 4-1 there as well. So again, they've been phenomenal. It's going to take a lot for them to take down Florida, but you could argue that after that series against the Leafs, Florida's tired. Florida might be a little bit more tired. They might be a little bit more knocked up. Maybe Carolina can use that to their advantage, but I am not counting out Florida here whatsoever. Let's take a look at their leading scorers now, starting off here with Sam Reinhart for the Panthers. 39 goals, 42 assists for 81 points in the regular season. In the playoffs, has 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points, and is second on the team in scoring. He's been pretty damn good. Not as noticeable, though. I'm going to be talking about a lot of players here. All of them have played on the same level, essentially. There hasn't really been anybody on Florida that has, really kind of just risen above everybody else, and it's been great. There really hasn't been any player that has been like that. So Reinhart brings that there with a big advantage for sure. Alexander Barkov there too. 20 goals, 51 assists for 71 points in the regular season. In the playoffs, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. Again, matching up there pretty well with the rest of these Panthers teams. Barkov, not having the greatest series against Toronto, but who really cares? Defensively, he is a beast. He makes good plays. He's moving the puck. He's at least noticeable out there on the ice. Again, he's a phenomenal player, and there's no arguing that there whatsoever. Matthew Tkachuk up next then, third in scoring, 22 goals, 35 assists, 57 points as well. In the playoffs, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points there too. Tkachuk has been pretty awesome, honestly. Just has been, again, he didn't look that great in the Toronto Maple Leaf series. He looks a little bit slower, but he's still been a great player, still been very valuable. And just the stuff he said about Toronto, Jesus Christ. I actually can't believe that's even been said. But overall, Tkachuk has been pretty great this year when he's played for Florida. Carter Verhaeghe, 20 goals, 33 assists for 53 points in the regular season. 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in the playoffs. If Carter Verhaeghe could actually, start scoring here a little bit, this guy would be unstoppable. He looks good out there on the ice. He's making chances, passing plays, but he can't really find a way to finish. And I think that if he can find a way to do that in this series, I think Carolina might be done for, honestly. And then Sam Bennett, 25 goals, 26 assists for 51 points there as well in the regular season. He had 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points in the playoffs. Bennett's been great. He's always been phenomenal for Florida since he's come there, and somebody that I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to get under the skin of these Carolina players in this series. It's going to be very interesting. Now, the biggest part in why Carolina beat Washington is they did not feed into any of their bullshit. They didn't feed into any of the antics that Washington carried on to. If Carolina's going to win this series, that's a big thing. They need to be able to muster and kind of stray away from those after the whistle fights, after the whistle scuffles, or even kind of plays like that. They can't really let Florida get under their skin. Otherwise, they're going to take them and just crumble them, that being Florida. So again, I think that's something that Carolina needs to look at here. And as well as that too, they got to find a way to beat Bob. They got to find a way to not lock in there to Bobrovsky for sure. And I think they can do that. Their leading scorer is Sebastian Aho with 29 goals, 45 assists for 74 points in the regular season. He had 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points in the playoffs. Again, Aho's been consistent. He's been a playoff performer. He has like all of the overtime goals for Carolina during this season. In the regular season included. He's been unreal for Carolina as in a playoff player. He's proven to be a playoff player. He's been great. Seth Jarvis, 32 goals, 35 assists, 67 points in the regular season. Has 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points in the playoffs here as well. Jarvis, we know what he is. We know what he can do. We know the talented player that Seth Jarvis is. And I think that if you give him any room in this series, I don't know. I don't like the odds for Florida. Andrei Svechnikov, who has been phenomenal, just a scoring machine, only had 20 goals in the regular season for 28 assists, 48 points, has 8 goals, 1 assist, 9 points in the playoffs. I got to be blunt, like, you look at how Svechnikov played in the regular season, there were some concerns about him. Like, he's not looking that great, but in these playoffs, he has nearly half of the goals that he had in the regular season in, like, 10 games. That is just unheard of, phenomenal. He's been great in these playoffs. And I think he's your number one guy, essentially, in scoring for Carolina. Like, he's going to be your number one guy that Florida needs to cover up there. Otherwise, he's going to get goals. He's going to. Shane Gostisbehere, as I've called him, the power play quarterback throughout these playoffs and this regular season. 7 goals, 38 assists for 45 points there as well with Carolina. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points in the playoffs. That guy will just sit there on the power play and just make plays. That's what I love about Gostisbehere. He's been phenomenal there with Carolina. He's been a phenomenal fit, and I think that will continue here for sure in this series. And then Taylor Hall, 18 goals, 24 assists, 42 points in the regular season, was a deadline acquisition. 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in the playoffs. I think that Hall has been phenomenal there too with Carolina. Again, everybody for both teams are contributing. And it's phenomenal to watch. You see that line of Marchand, Lundell, Luosterainen. Like, that line had 5 points last night in Game 7. All but 1 goal that team was contributing on. Good Lord. Like, that is unheard of and phenomenal. And I think that line alone might win the Panthers a Stanley Cup. Honestly, they are that deep. Carolina, too. They have their depth. Jackson Blake is a rookie in this year. And he wasn't really talked about. Again, I've given him his flowers a lot here during the regular season and in the playoffs. I made a couple videos on him shouting him out just because I watch the games with Carolina. I do these streams on the channel, and I'm just like, man, that kid is good. And he's here in the playoffs scoring goals. Like, it's actually unreal. And you got Logan Stankoven there, too, another young player who is on a tear and has been to these finals before with Dallas last year. He has that experience that, again, I know a lot of these Hurricanes were there 2 years ago, but he has that experience as a young kid. It's phenomenal how these two teams match up, and it's going to be a great series when they pin up against each other here. Now, you look at Florida's end, you got Sergei Bobrovsky in net for them, 33, 19, and 2, a 2.44, and a .906. Now, you guys heard me earlier in the video. I said that Bobrovsky doesn't have the sexiest playoff numbers. Like, I think his career average in the playoffs is like a .905. That's pretty good, but it's still not, like, incredible. When he locks in, and he's locked in these playoffs. 8-4, a 2.31, and a .901. But I think also a part of that, too, is, like, the Florida Panthers just played really good defense. Like, losing Brandon Montour, we thought this decor would get a lot weaker. Oh, my God. Like, it might be better, honestly. Like, the guys in Mikkola and Nate Schmidt have connected just so well. And I think it's made Bobrovsky, like, his numbers look a lot worse because of it, just because, like, he's allowing, like, goals on fewer shots. But still, he's still a very good goaltender. And when he locks in, he locks in. Uh, Frederick Anderson in net then for Carolina. He didn't play a lot in the regular season, only 13, 8, and 1. That's only about 22 games that he started. 2.50 goals against average and a .899 save percentage in the regular season. However, in the playoffs, 7 and 2, a 1.36 and a .937. He has been phenomenal there as well for Carolina, just making the saves that he has to, and we know what he can be out of this. Again, his save percentage in the regular season doesn't really say a lot. When this guy locks in, he locks in as well, and it's going to be a goaltending duel for a lot of this series. I think it might be honestly low scoring. I think it might be a lot lower scoring than we're used to, but I definitely think it's going to be a lot closer than a sweep. I am so excited if you can't tell. Now, I do have the Florida Panthers taking this series in 7 games. I have learned to just not doubt Florida. I'm going to go with Florida the whole way here. Although I will say Florida's got to be a little bit more knocked up. I think Gustav Forsling hasn't looked that great in this series. I think he can improve there as well. I think there are things that Carolina can see in the videotapes and the replays and say, yeah, that's how we can play them and that's how we can man them. I think you're going to need to learn to take the hits. I think you're going to need to learn to take those hits and not try and answer back for them. And if you're going to answer back, do it clean. Like, you can't be taking penalties against this Florida team. You can't be taking costly penalties and, letting them get under your skin if you're Carolina. You got to fight it from that way. As for Florida, just block the front of the net, honestly. Like, Carolina's going to shoot from anywhere. I think if you're shooting from the point, Bob is stopping all that. From wide, Bob is stopping that. In front, possibly, but it's less likely. Like, you got to keep the net front there out of there for Carolina and just come out running. You can't start off slow. That's the biggest thing. I think this is going to be a phenomenal series. Let me know your thoughts on the predictions in the comment section down below. We will be live for Game 1 here on this channel, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video down below. Please consider subscribing. Again, stream coming here tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's going to be a great time. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.